Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to our playthrough of Arkham Horror, the card game, where we've been playing through the Dream Eaters campaign. In this video, we're going to wrap up the Dream Eaters campaign that we just finished. I'll talk a little bit about the campaign itself, how the decks performed, and what I would have done with more experience to put into the deck. First up, let's talk about the campaign itself. Of the campaigns that have come out so far for the card game, this one is my favorite. It's such a unique experience in that you're essentially running two campaigns in one, but there are still elements that tie these two individual campaigns into a larger story, like playing with the Black Cat. Also, my favorite otherworld in the Cthulhu mythos is the Dreamlands, with Carcosa coming in a close second. I do plan to come back to this campaign on the channel at some point to hopefully get a different result, but I plan to play a few other games and probably another card game campaign or two before I do. I'll probably also run a different team of investigators when I come back to this campaign. But on that note, that will do it for the campaign itself. Now let's talk about the investigators. As the reward for victory in their side of the campaign, we'll start on the Waking side with Ursula Downs. Hello, Ursula. Speed is the name of the game with you, and when you get going, it's hard to stop you. Of course, Jenny doing her best William Tell impression but missing definitely will not help on that front. Ursula did very well in this campaign, especially when Jenny didn't get tentacle touched trying to shoot something, gobbling up clues and revealing locations in a hurry. Now, what would I have done differently with Ursula with more experience? For the most part, the build probably would have looked the same. I would have liked to improve her card draw a bit, and providing more protection from the encounter deck is never a bad thing. Alas, there was too much to do and not enough time to do it. Anyway, that will do it for Ursula. Now we'll pay her partner, Jenny, a visit. Jenny, you are definitely not afraid to throw money at your problems. Unfortunately, your sister was a problem we couldn't solve as we had to leave her behind twice in the campaign. As a monster puncher, you did well, especially in standing up to Atlak Naka, though I wouldn't have minded a chance to explore some of the firepower rogues can bring to bear over the course of a campaign. The Beretta M1918 only came up a couple times, and that was a card I was looking forward to seeing in action. Granted, I got that one late in the campaign, but still, rogue is a lot of stuff I would like to explore further. There will be other campaigns, whether they're on or off camera. Anyway, that will do it for the Waking investigators. Now let's move over to the Dreamers, and we'll say hello first to Harvey Walters. Hello, Harvey. For being limited to only secret cards, you actually did pretty well in the campaign, though having to dip into combat to help out with the monster load prevented me from seeing what you really could do. You look to have some pretty powerful stuff deeper into the experience pool, but given Lola's troubles in combat, you had to jump in and give her a hand by being able to defend yourself, using your lore instead of stats you weren't succeeding with in a million years. I'll definitely give Harvey another go, but it won't be in the next campaign I play for the channel. Last up, let's go pay Harvey's partner, Lola Hayes, a visit. Hello, Lola. Full disclosure on two fronts. First, this campaign was kind of a bucket list campaign for me, because I really wanted to experience at least one campaign with Lola for myself. I'd always shied away from her just because of how complex she is to play, and I wanted to finally bite the bullet and just experience what she's really like. The other full disclosure front related to that, when I first saw you here in the card game, I wasn't sure I'd like you as an investigator. In fact, I was sure the constant class shifting was going to drive me nuts. You were definitely hard to build for, but this build kind of worked. Obviously, you came up very much lackluster against Nyarlathotep, but problems in Search for Kadath really came back to haunt us when we stood before the Onyx Gates. That many clues needing to come off the location that quick was always going to be a hard sell no matter how we sliced it. Anyway, I'm getting off track there. Lola, what did I think of her? Her build, in retrospect, proved highly vulnerable to her personal weakness, which we saw on Dark Side of the Moon. If you recall from the intro, the idea behind the deck was to minimize the damage her personal weakness could cause and still be able to fight. Unfortunately, I inadvertently maximized the damage instead. Plus, trading specialty for versatility doesn't seem like it's something that will end well in a campaign anyway. That being said, I would consider giving Lola another play as well. Again, that won't be in the next campaign. But What will that deck look like when I'm ready to play Lola again? This campaign, I also wanted to try to familiarize myself with classes I don't play very often. That's why I picked Survivor, Guardian, and Rogue for Lola. Of those three classes, the one I play most is Guardian. Unfortunately, we didn't get much experience to work with. Next campaign with Lola, I'll probably use classes I'm far more familiar with. Mystic, Seeker, and Guardian. I'll also use more events and static stat boosts to turn her into more of a tester than a specialist. My first impression of Lola is that she seems to work best in a bigger group. In two-handed solo, you really need specialization. You really need a dedicated monster puncher and a dedicated clover. In a four-person group, though, I think you can get away with being a little more of a chameleon as long as you have the specialist roles already covered. But that will do it for Lola, the Dreamers, and all of the investigators. Now let's move back up top to wrap this video up. And with that, this first campaign of Arkham Horror the card game has come to a close. I hope you've enjoyed watching me fumble around with Lola and the rest of this team. As I mentioned at the top of the video, I do plan to come back to this campaign on the channel with different investigators, but I want to play some other games first, and probably at least one more campaign, including my upcoming summer campaign. I'm not going to announce what that is yet, just because I want to make sure there are no problems with getting the product I'm going to need for it, but that will be coming in June. I'll announce that. But next week, we'll step away from the card game, but not away from the Arkham Horror files, and play some Elder Sign, the dice game in the files, and I'm going to have some thematic ties to this campaign that we just wrapped. What will those ties be? You'll have to tune in and find out. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you turn on notifications if you haven't already. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone. Thank you.